If you're seeing this, it's not random. Listen until the end, Chosen One.
Chosen One, this message is not for everyone, and you will understand why the moment your spirit begins to respond. Only those who truly walk the divine path of the Most High should continue watching. Anyone who is here out of curiosity, doubt, or without a sincere desire to grow in divine wisdom should not remain, because what is being released right now carries a spiritual weight that only God's chosen can handle. Chosen One, this message has reached you at the perfect time, and it carries a command that will shift the direction of your destiny in a way you are not expecting. Nothing about this moment is accidental. Heaven chose this exact hour to bring you clarity, awakening, and direction. Listen closely and stay with me until the end, because if your spirit is aligned, this message will answer something you have been quietly wrestling with. Before we go deeper, I want you to respond in the comments using only one number that your spirit aligns with right now. 444. Your response signals to the divine realm that you received this message with an open heart. And, Chosen One, if you have not already, subscribe to Rise of the Chosen, tap the bell icon for future divine alerts, and share this message so it reaches the ones God has appointed. What you are about to hear is a command you cannot ignore. The divine command revealed to the chosen ones. Chosen One, you must understand something before anything else is revealed. When God sends a divine command, it is never casual, never optional, and never directed toward a crowd. It is released to a specific soul whose spirit has been prepared through seasons of fire, silence, discipline, and spiritual refinement. A divine command is not a suggestion. It is a spiritual activation, a heavenly instruction that carries the weight of destiny and the authority of the Most High. Many believers hear messages, but only the chosen feel the vibration of a divine command in their spirit. That is because your journey has not been ordinary. The path you walk has been shaped by divine intention long before you could understand any of it. This command reaching you today is not a coincidence. God has been aligning circumstances around your life, shifting energies, closing certain doors, and awakening you internally so that when this instruction finally arrived, your spirit would be ready to receive it. Think of how many moments in the past season were designed to wake you up spiritually. The frustration you felt was not punishment. It was preparation. The isolation you endured was not rejection. It was elevation. The stillness you walked through was not emptiness. It was clarity waiting to be revealed. Every struggle was shaping you for this moment so that you could finally hear what heaven has been holding for you. Chosen One. A divine command does not come through noise, it comes through revelation. And when God chooses someone to carry a message forward, that person never fits into the world around them. You were set apart long before you ever understood what being chosen truly meant. There were signs. You always felt different. You always sensed a higher calling. You always carried a depth within you that others could not understand. You noticed things that others ignored. You felt shifts in your environment before anyone else could detect them. These were not random qualities. They were spiritual indicators that you are a vessel heaven intends to use. The divine command sent to you today is centered on alignment. God is instructing you to rise into a higher spiritual state, to shed the weight of your old path, and to step fully into the mission assigned to your name. This is not the season for hesitation. It is the season for obedience. You have been sensing this shift for weeks. Something in your spirit has been stirring, urging you to step forward, to take ownership of the calling God placed inside you. You may have tried to dismiss it, thinking it was simply emotion or overthinking. But chosen souls do not overthink destiny. They feel the pull of heaven before the instruction arrives. This divine command is simple but powerful. God is telling you to move, not physically but spiritually. Move into alignment, move into obedience, move into clarity, move into the identity that heaven has been preparing for you. You are being called to stop doubting yourself, to stop minimizing your gift, to stop shrinking in environments where you were meant to bring light. God is commanding you to rise into your rightful spiritual posture. The chosen ones cannot afford to play small in this season. The world is shifting. Spiritual atmospheres are shifting, energies around you are shifting, and heaven is urging you to stand in authority. A divine command always comes when something in the spiritual realm has opened. You may not see it with your natural eyes, but a door has been unlocked for you. It is a divine door, one that leads to elevation, revelation, and acceleration. God is commanding you to step through this door without fear. You have held yourself back long enough. You have waited for the perfect moment, but chosen moments are rarely comfortable. They are spiritual turning points disguised as ordinary days. Today is one of those turning points. This message was sent to awaken something inside you that has been asleep for far too long. You must understand that divine commands are connected to divine protection. God does not tell you to move unless the spiritual atmosphere has been secured for you. The warfare you battled in the past months was not because you were weak. It was because your breakthrough was approaching and the enemy could sense the shift before you did. That resistance you felt was confirmation of your calling. The spiritual attacks you endured were evidence that your next chapter carries power. The chosen ones are often attacked hardest right before God issues a new command. Why? Because the enemy fears what you are becoming. Darkness fears your awakening. Spiritual opposition fears your obedience. Chosen one, listen closely. This divine command is telling you to release hesitation. You can no longer cling to fear, doubt, or emotional exhaustion. God is instructing you to let go of old connections that drain you, old cycles that limit you, and old mindsets that weaken your spirit. The chosen ones cannot carry old weight into a new season. You have been elevated spiritually, but your environment has not caught up yet. That is why the command feels heavy. It is not because you are unprepared, it is because you are outgrowing everything that once held you. This message is being delivered to you because God trusts you. He sees what you cannot see yet. He sees the strength you gained through battles you thought would break you. He sees the faith you maintained when everything around you pushed you toward doubt. He sees the purity of your heart, the sincerity of your intentions, and the resilience of your spirit. And because of this, heaven has decided that you are ready for the next phase. This divine command marks the beginning of a new chapter in your journey. God is telling you to act, to shift, to awaken. Do not underestimate this moment. Do not treat it lightly. When heaven speaks, the chosen must respond. You are being called to rise because your presence is needed, your voice is needed, your obedience is needed, your spiritual authority is needed. This is bigger than you. Your destiny is connected to others who will be awakened through your transformation. There are souls assigned to your light. There are breakthroughs attached to your obedience. There are spiritual movements that cannot begin until you step fully into your purpose. Chosen one. This divine command is your confirmation, your activation, your spiritual alarm. Heaven is calling you to step into alignment, and your life will not remain the same once you obey. This is the moment God has been preparing you for, and everything in your spirit already knows it. Why this command is urgent for your spiritual destiny. Chosen one, you must understand that God does not speak without purpose, and He does not issue a command unless the timing of heaven has shifted. The urgency you feel in your spirit is not anxiety. It is divine acceleration. Something in the supernatural realm has moved, and whenever that happens, the chosen ones are the first to sense the vibration. This is why this command is not something you can postpone. It is not something you should think about for weeks. It is not something you can delay until you feel comfortable. When heaven releases an instruction, obedience must travel with timing, because divine timing is the very structure that destiny stands on. There are moments in a chosen one's journey when everything aligns at once. These moments are rare, powerful, and heavily protected. For the past months, you have been moving through a spiritual corridor without even knowing it. You faced battles that seemed strangely intensified. You experienced internal shifts you could not explain. You felt disconnected from people, environments, and older versions of yourself. You sensed God pulling you away from distractions, draining connections, and cycles that no longer align with your divine identity. All these experiences were not random. They were indicators that your destiny window was nearing its opening. When God speaks urgently, it is because the opportunity he is presenting is time-sensitive. That does not mean he will abandon you if you hesitate. It means the spiritual energy around your life is primed for transformation right now. When heaven synchronizes events, emotions, signs, dreams, and intuitive nudges, it creates a divine portal, a moment where obedience unlocks blessings that normally would take years to manifest. You are standing in such a moment right now, and that is why the command feels so heavy on your spirit. You may have noticed that certain desires within you have changed. Your priorities shifted. Your mindset matured. Your soul began craving purpose more than comfort. You stopped tolerating things you once ignored. You became more sensitive to spiritual truth, more aware of energy, more alert to deception. These changes are not accidental. They happen when God prepares a chosen one for destiny elevation. Spiritual urgency always begins with internal shifts before external shifts become visible. Heaven changes you before it changes your life. Chosen one. This command is urgent because your next chapter is already unlocked, and you are the only one who can step into it. Think about the dreams you've been having recently. Think about the sudden clarity that hit you unexpectedly. Think about the spiritual pressure you felt without understanding why. These were all signals from heaven. God has been trying to get your attention. He has been whispering to you through signs. He has been tugging at your heart. And now he has chosen to speak clearly through this message because it is time to move. What you do in this season will affect the next 10 years of your spiritual journey. That is why you cannot afford to be passive. The chosen ones are not allowed to drift through life. Their steps are ordered, their seasons are precise, and their breakthroughs follow obedience. You are being called to align with the divine instruction because if you delay, the spiritual environment around you will shift again, and the momentum that exists right now will not feel the same later. Destiny is not only about calling, it is about timing. You have been sensing that something big is approaching. You may not have known what it was, but your spirit felt the vibration. The chosen ones always feel destiny before they see it. God places an inner knowing inside you so that when the divine command arrives, something inside you instantly recognizes it. That recognition you feel right now is not emotional reaction. It is spiritual confirmation. You feel the pull because the command is woven into your purpose, and when purpose calls, the chosen must respond. There is another reason why this instruction is urgent. You have just exited a spiritual warfare phase, even if it did not look like a battle in the natural world. The confusion, the heaviness, the mental pressure, the strange resistance you faced were all signs that something was fighting to keep you from reaching this moment. Darkness always tries to exhaust the chosen ones right before their breakthrough. The enemy knew something was coming for you. He sensed your elevation. He saw angels moving on your behalf. He recognized the shift before you did. That is why the attacks were sudden, unusual, or emotionally draining. He wanted to wear your spirit down so that when the command arrived, you would not have the strength to obey. But chosen one. Here you are, still standing, still listening, still spiritually alert, still connected to God despite everything that tried to distract you. The very fact that you made it to this moment is proof that your destiny is protected. If the enemy could have stopped you, he would have, but he couldn't because heaven has already decided that your next season will unfold. And when God decides something, nothing can overturn it. This command is urgent because you are in a spiritual cycle where obedience multiplies your blessings. A chosen one's obedience is not like the obedience of others. When you act on divine instruction, you activate spiritual laws that open doors faster, shift environments quicker, and attract breakthrough sooner. You operate under a different covenant. God deals with you differently because your calling carries weight. And right now, heaven is urging you to step into that weight fully. Every chosen one reaches a point where they must make a decision that defines their path. This is your defining moment. When you obey this divine command, your spiritual authority will rise. Your discernment will sharpen, your energy will shift, your life will begin aligning with purpose in a way that is undeniable. Opportunities will appear where there were none. People who drained you will fall away naturally. Connections aligned with destiny will find you. Breakthrough will unfold with ease because you are finally in alignment. Chosen one. This urgency is also tied to the fact that God needs you positioned correctly. There are people He will send into your life who require the version of you that is activated by this command. There are missions waiting for you that require strength, clarity, and spiritual maturity. There are tasks heaven cannot assign until you step into your next level. Your alignment determines who you help, who you awaken, and whose life you shift through your obedience. That is why you cannot delay. Your calling is bigger than your comfort. You may feel that the command is challenging or heavy, but heaviness is a sign of spiritual importance. God does not place weight on those who cannot carry it. If He is asking you to step forward, it is because He already equipped you spiritually. Everything you need is already inside you. The courage, the strength, the wisdom, the intuition, the divine backing, it is all present. The enemy tried to convince you that you were not ready, but heaven is telling you that you are. Before we continue, if your spirit feels the urgency of this word in a deep and undeniable way, comment one number your intuition aligns with right now. 777 or 333 or 999 or 444. Let the spiritual realm witness your agreement with divine timing. Chosen one, the urgency of this command is simple. Your destiny is calling you, and heaven is waiting for your obedience. What you do now will shape the spiritual landscape of your entire future. This is your moment. This is your season. This is your divine turning point. The consequences of ignoring a God-given summoning. Chosen one. You must understand that when God issues a divine summoning, it is not a simple invitation. It is a spiritual mandate that carries weight, authority, and destiny-reshaping power. A summoning is God's way of pulling you into the next phase of your calling, and ignoring it does not leave your life unchanged. Every divine instruction has a purpose, and when a chosen one delays or turns away from it, the effects ripple through their spiritual path in ways they often do not recognize until much later. Ignoring a God-given summoning is not about disobedience alone. It is about misalignment. When the Most High speaks, heaven is already in motion, angels are already positioned, and the spiritual atmosphere around your life shifts to support what God intends for you. If you ignore the call, you step out of that alignment, and when alignment is lost, progress slows. You may not see the consequences in the physical world at first, but they begin in the spirit realm. Opportunities that were meant to flow effortlessly become blocked. Strength that was meant to rise feels suppressed. Clarity that was meant to come suddenly feels distant. When a chosen one disconnects from a divine summoning, their spirit becomes unsettled because their destiny is pulling them forward while their decisions hold them back. One of the most significant consequences of ignoring God's call is delayed breakthrough. Breakthrough is not random. It is activated by obedience and timing. God does not release blessings simply because you want them. He releases them when your spirit is aligned with His instruction. A divine summoning is the gateway to that alignment. When a chosen one hesitates, the blessings do not disappear, but they wait. The progress that was meant to come swiftly begins to slow, not because you are unworthy, but because heaven cannot release what you are not positioned to receive. There is also a spiritual heaviness that settles on those who ignore their calling. This heaviness is not punishment. It is a signal. It is your soul reminding you that you were designed for more, and refusing the call creates an internal conflict between who you are and who you are supposed to become. When a chosen one ignores God's voice, their inner world becomes unsettled. They may feel restless, spiritually numb, disconnected, or drained. They may experience confusion about their purpose or lose passion for things that once felt meaningful. This happens because your destiny is alive, and destiny does not sit quietly when it is ignored. Another consequence is the strengthening of spiritual resistance. When you move with God, your path is protected. The attacks do not stop, but they do not overpower you. However, when you step out of alignment, you unintentionally make room for unnecessary warfare. This is why some chosen ones experience sudden chaos, strange emotional pressure, or unexpected setbacks when they delay obedience. The protection around them is not removed, but they are no longer standing where heaven positioned them. This misalignment gives the enemy the chance to distract, confuse, or exhaust you. The warfare becomes heavier not because God is angry, but because you are standing outside the flow of divine covering. But, chosen one, perhaps the most subtle consequence of ignoring a God-given summoning is the loss of spiritual sensitivity. Obedience sharpens discernment. Delay weakens it. When God speaks and you respond, your spiritual ears open wider. You sense things quicker. You understand divine nudges easily. But when you ignore a summoning, your spirit gradually becomes less receptive. This does not mean God stops speaking. It means your ability to hear becomes blurred. The chosen ones are not designed to live outside divine communication. Their entire journey depends on spiritual clarity. When that clarity weakens, the chosen feel lost, even if nothing is visibly wrong. You may also notice that ignoring a divine summoning allows old cycles to resurface. Patterns you thought you escaped suddenly try to return. People who drained you may reappear. Situations that once held you down try to pull you back. This happens because your obedience was meant to close those cycles permanently. When you ignore the call, the doors you were meant to walk through remain unopened, and the doors you were meant to close remain cracked. This gives past energy the chance to slip through. God was trying to shift you into a new dimension, but staying still keeps you connected to the old one. Chosen one. Ignoring a divine summoning also delays the transformation of your inner power. God was trying to elevate your strength, deepen your wisdom, and activate new spiritual authority within you. When you hesitate, those upgrades pause. This is why some chosen ones begin to feel spiritually stagnant. It is not that they lack power. It is that the next level of their power is waiting behind the instruction they ignored. God will never force you, but He will keep the calling alive until you are ready. Your spirit can feel this. That unexplainable pull you sense at random moments is the summoning reminding you that it has not expired. There is also an emotional consequence. When a chosen one ignores a God-given summoning, they experience something that feels like spiritual dissatisfaction. No achievement feels complete. No accomplishment feels fulfilling. No environment feels right. This is because your soul was designed to thrive only when aligned with purpose. Ignoring the call creates a gap between your outer life and your inner identity. Even if things seem fine externally, something feels missing. That emptiness is not lack, it is misalignment. But the most important consequence is this. When you ignore a divine summoning, you delay the people you were assigned to help. Chosen souls carry missions that affect others. Your obedience is never for you alone. Your transformation awakens someone else. Your breakthrough inspires someone else. Your spiritual authority frees someone else. Heaven has woven your destiny into the destiny of others, and when you delay your calling, their moment of awakening is delayed too. This is why ignoring a divine summoning is not just a personal decision. It affects the spiritual landscape around you. Before we go further, if your spirit already understands the seriousness of divine timing and you feel the pull of this message, comment only one number that aligns with your intuition, 777 or 444. Do it as a sign of agreement with what God is revealing in this season. Chosen one, know this truth. God will never punish you for hesitating. He is patient, merciful, and deeply understanding of your fears, your confusion, and your uncertainty. But although He is patient, destiny is not. Destiny waits only for alignment. God will keep calling you, but the spiritual environment will shift between seasons. The summoning you ignored today may require more strength to follow later. This is why obedience now is easier than obedience later. The atmosphere around you is prepared. Angels are positioned. The path is open. The timing is divine. Your hesitation is the only barrier still standing. When a chosen one finally answers the call after a season of delay, something powerful happens. God restores everything that was slowed. He accelerates everything that was held back. He multiplies every blessing that was waiting. But that restoration cannot begin until you say yes. You do not need to understand the full picture. You only need to trust the one who holds it. God is not asking you to be perfect. He is asking you to be willing. Obedience is not about strength. It is about surrender. Ignoring a God-given summoning creates spiritual consequences, but answering it creates spiritual miracles. The moment you align with the instruction, the atmosphere shifts, peace returns, clarity rises, strength awakens, purpose becomes sharp, and your life begins to move in ways that confirm heaven has gone before you. The consequences of ignoring the call are real, but the rewards of embracing it are greater. Chosen one. Your destiny has been waiting for your yes. Heaven is not warning you. Heaven is guiding you. This summoning is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to awaken you. You were not chosen to wander. You were chosen to rise. And your obedience to this divine command is the key that will open the next chapter of your spiritual identity. How to recognize that this message was sent directly to you. Chosen one. One of the greatest marks of a divine message is that it does not feel like new information. It feels like remembrance. It feels like something inside you already knew, but needed confirmation to awaken fully. When God sends a message directly to a chosen soul, the first sign is resonance. Your spirit reacts before your mind can analyze anything. You may feel a sudden calm, a surge of energy, a quiet knowing, or an internal pull as if heaven itself is leaning toward you. This message is reaching you today because your spirit has already been prepared to receive it, and that preparation is one of the clearest signals that this word is not random. It is meant for you. Another sign that this message is for you is the timing. Look back at the last few days, weeks, or even months. You experienced moments where you questioned your purpose, felt spiritual fatigue, sensed a shift, or wondered why certain things were happening the way they did. You may have felt disconnected from old environments, drained by old conversations, or mentally exhausted by the pressure of carrying something you could not name. All of this was spiritual positioning. God often allows discomfort to move you toward revelation. When the chosen ones drift out of alignment, heaven sends signs to pull them back, and those signs usually intensify right before the divine message arrives. You also recognize a message meant for you through confirmation. Think about how many times recently you encountered themes of awakening, purpose, alignment, or divine timing, maybe through dreams, unusual emotions, repeating numbers, or sudden clarity in moments where you expected confusion. God does not reveal something once. He layers the message through different channels until it becomes impossible to ignore. When the chosen ones are meant to understand something, heaven speaks to them in patterns. And if you look closely, you will notice that this message aligns perfectly with those patterns. Chosen one. Another powerful sign is spiritual interruption. When God sends a word directly to you, it will reach you no matter what environment you are in. You may not have planned to watch this message right now, yet here you are. You may have been scrolling mindlessly, distracted, tired, or emotionally checked out, yet this message stopped you. Divine interruption is never accidental. It is one of the strongest signals that heaven is trying to redirect your focus. God knows when your spirit is ready, even when your mind is not. This is why some messages appear at the exact moment you needed them, not a second earlier or later. You also know a message was sent to you when it speaks to questions you never verbalized. The chosen ones carry silent battles. They wrestle with thoughts they never express, fears they never admit, and uncertainties they hide even from themselves. When a message begins to touch the exact areas of your silence, it is not coincidence. It is divine accuracy. God answers the questions you never had the courage to say aloud. He reveals direction for paths you did not know how to navigate. He gives clarity at the exact point where confusion threatened to overwhelm you. If this message is speaking directly into the spaces no one else can see, then it is for you. Another sign is internal awakening. You may feel something shifting within, a rise of courage, a spark of hope, a sudden urge to take action, a sense of renewal after a long season of stagnation. Divine messages have this effect. They breathe life back into places where doubt lived. They reignite passion where spiritual fatigue settled. They restore strength where disappointment drained you. If you feel something coming alive in you as you hear these words, then know without hesitation that this message was crafted by heaven for your spirit at this exact time. Chosen one. You may also notice that the message aligns with experiences you have been having repeatedly. God often reveals your next level through your environment. If relationships felt strained, it was a sign of detachment. If certain doors closed unexpectedly, it was a sign of redirection. If you felt isolated, it was preparation for elevation. If you felt restless, it was because your spirit knew change was coming. Divine messages do not appear out of nowhere. They arrive after a series of spiritual events have prepared the ground of your soul. When everything in your life starts pointing in the same direction, the message becomes confirmation of what has already been unfolding. Another signal is heaviness turning into clarity. For days or weeks, something may have been weighing on your heart. You felt it deeply but could not name it. You sensed something shifting but did not understand it. When a divine message lifts that heaviness or turns that confusion into understanding, it means God is revealing the meaning behind your spiritual discomfort. Your spirit already knew something important was happening. This message simply gave words to what your soul was carrying. Chosen one. There is also the sign of peace. Not ordinary peace, but divine peace. The kind that settles on your spirit even if your circumstances remain uncertain. When a message comes from God, it brings order to your inner world. You do not feel pressured, you feel aligned, you do not feel forced, you feel guided. Divine messages carry a softness that reaches the chosen ones even in their most chaotic moments. If you feel that quiet peace resting on you as these words unfold, that is God confirming that this message was written with your name on it. Another sign is spiritual urgency. When God sends a message directly to the chosen ones, they feel an internal pull that cannot be ignored. Not fear, not anxiety, but a deep conviction that something must shift now. That feeling is not random. It is the Holy Spirit stirring your soul, telling you that this message is not optional. It is part of your assignment. If your spirit feels the urgency to listen, understand, and act, then this message is undeniably for you. Chosen one. Another indication is the alignment between the message and your inner growth. Lately, you may have felt yourself becoming more aware, more intuitive, more sensitive to spiritual energy. You may have started understanding people's intentions quickly, sensing danger early, recognizing truth without explanation. This heightened awareness is a sign of elevation. God does not elevate you without also giving you revelation. If your intuition has grown stronger recently, then this message is speaking directly into your spiritual development. You also know this message is for you when it does not just educate you, but transforms you. Divine messages do not only inform, they activate, they shift, they awaken, they build, they move your soul into a higher dimension. If your spirit feels like it is stepping into a new identity, stepping out of old patterns, or stepping into clarity you have been yearning for, then you can be certain that God orchestrated this message for you. Chosen one, let this be your confirmation. When a message aligns with your timing, your inner knowing, your recent experiences, your spiritual awakening, and the silent questions of your heart, then you are not listening by chance. You are listening by divine appointment. You are here because heaven brought you here. God wanted you to hear these words because the next chapter of your journey depends on the alignment this message creates. What God needs you to do next. Chosen one. Now that the divine command has been revealed and your spirit has recognized that this message was sent directly to you, the next step is understanding what heaven requires from you in this season. God does not release a summoning without providing a path. He does not call the chosen without giving them the direction needed to walk forward. What comes next is not complicated, but it is spiritually significant. Your destiny will shift the moment you begin acting on these instructions. The first thing God needs from you is willingness, not perfection, not certainty, not flawless confidence, just willingness. Chosen souls often assume that they must feel strong before stepping into obedience, but strength comes after obedience, not before it. God is not waiting for you to be fearless. He is waiting for you to be available. A heart that is willing can carry far more divine power than a heart that is merely prepared. Heaven responds to openness. If your spirit whispers yes, even while your mind trembles, that whisper is enough for heaven to move. The second thing God needs from you is separation. Not isolation, but separation. Separation from old cycles, draining connections, habitual patterns, and the old identity you outgrew. You cannot carry yesterday's version of yourself into tomorrow's calling. God has been showing you signs that certain environments, people or mindsets no longer align with where He is taking you. You may have felt uncomfortable in places where you once felt at ease. You may have sensed distance growing between you and certain individuals. You may have noticed your spirit resisting things that used to feel normal. That is not emotional confusion. It is spiritual elevation. God is calling you to separate from anything that dims your discernment or weakens your energy. The next thing God requires is clarity. You must become intentional about your spiritual atmosphere. That means creating moments of stillness, reflection, and connection with the divine. God speaks clearly when your environment is quiet. He gives direction when your spirit is centered. You cannot hear heaven if your mind is filled with noise. This is why He pulled you away from distractions. This is why certain situations no longer satisfy you. This is why your intuition has become sharper. The divine command you received needs a clear path to operate through you. Clarity will give you the strength to recognize opportunities, reject distractions, and discern truth from illusion. Chosen one. God also needs alignment from you. Alignment means bringing your actions into harmony with your divine identity. It means living with purpose instead of drifting through days. It means choosing faith even when circumstances are unclear. It means stepping into responsibility for your calling. God has elevated your spiritual authority, and now He needs you to act like the chosen one you are. There are decisions you must make that reflect your new level. There are boundaries you must set that honor your spiritual assignment. There are steps you must take even if they feel unfamiliar. Alignment is not about knowing everything. It is about trusting the direction your spirit is pulling you toward. Another thing God needs from you in this season is release. Release of fear. Release of self-doubt. Release of the wounds that convinced you to shrink. Release of the old versions of yourself that were shaped by survival instead of purpose. Your spirit is no longer living in a season that requires you to fight for identity. Now you are stepping into a season where God reveals who you truly are. The chosen ones often carry wounds they never speak of, and those wounds sometimes create inner barriers against divine obedience. But God is healing those barriers now. The release He is asking from you is not emotional weakness, it is spiritual surrender. When you let go of what is no longer meant for you, heaven fills that space with power. Chosen one. God also needs action. Spiritual elevation without action leads to stagnation. You have been awakened, but awakening is only the beginning. Now you must move. That movement may be internal at first. It may be subtle. It may be uncomfortable. But action is required. God will not force you to step forward, but He will make it clear that remaining still is no longer an option. Your journey is not meant to be observed. It is meant to be walked. Whether it requires confronting a truth, accepting a calling, shifting your environment, improving your discipline, deepening your prayer life, or honoring your intuition, heaven needs your active participation. The next step God is calling you into is spiritual discipline. Elevation requires consistency. Your spirit must stay nourished. Your discernment must stay sharp. Your energy must stay guarded. Discipline is not restriction, it is protection. It ensures that your spiritual progress does not collapse under pressure. It ensures that the breakthroughs God releases into your life have a foundation strong enough to sustain them. Whether it is prayer, meditation, fasting, or simply living with intention, your discipline creates space for God to work through you without interruption. Another thing God needs from you is courage. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to move despite fear. Every chosen one faces a moment where they must act even when their mind whispers uncertainty. Courage is not loud. Courage is commitment. It is the quiet decision to follow God even when you cannot see the full path. It is trusting that He would not summon you without preparing what comes next. Courage allows you to break cycles that ran through your family, overcome spiritual resistance, and walk into blessings that were designed specifically for your name. God also needs patience from you, not passive waiting, but sacred patience. Patience that understands divine timing. Patience that trusts the process even when nothing seems to be happening. Patience that recognizes you are being strengthened, shaped, and elevated in ways that are not always visible. The chosen ones often carry impatience because their spirit moves faster than their physical reality. But God operates through seasons. He knows when to reveal, when to hide, when to build, and when to release. Trust His timing because it is designed for your protection. Chosen one, you must also protect your energy. This is an essential instruction. Your spirit is becoming stronger, which means not everyone can have access to you. Some people drain your light without giving anything in return. Some environments weaken your clarity. Some habits lower your vibration. God needs you to guard your energy with wisdom and intention. You cannot allow every presence into your spiritual space. You must become selective, not out of pride, but out of spiritual responsibility. The chosen ones carry assignments that require purity of energy. Guarding your atmosphere protects your ability to hear God. Another thing God needs from you now is expectancy. Expectancy is powerful. It opens spiritual gates. It attracts divine movement. It shows heaven that you are ready for what is coming. Expectancy is not wishful thinking. It is faith matured. It is understanding that when God issues a divine command, He has already prepared the results. Your only task is to believe. Believe that He is guiding you. Believe that He is elevating you. Believe that He is shifting your life into alignment with your true purpose. Expectancy turns spiritual instruction into manifestation. Chosen one. What God needs most from you is trust. Trust that your path has been divinely orchestrated. Trust that the battles you faced were preparation. Trust that the discomfort you felt was transition. Trust that the intuition pulling you forward is accurate. Trust that this message did not reach you by accident. God brought you here because He is about to unfold a season in your life that requires your full cooperation. Trust is the bridge between revelation and transformation. There is one more thing God needs you to do. He needs you to say yes. Not a hesitant yes. Not a fearful yes. A surrendered yes. A spiritually aligned yes. A yes that tells heaven you are ready to step into your calling with full authority. The divine command you received is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to awaken you. Your destiny will not open until you respond. But once you say yes, everything in your life will begin shifting with purpose. Chosen one. The next chapter is waiting for your obedience. The doors are open. The angels are positioned. Your spirit is ready. All that remains is your decision. God has spoken. Now you must move. Conclusion. A final divine reminder for the chosen ones. Chosen one. As we reach the end of this message, understand that nothing you heard today was ordinary. It was not random. It was not coincidental. It was a divine moment crafted for your spirit at a time when you needed clarity the most. God has been preparing you for this season long before you realized you were stepping into it. Every struggle, every shift, every moment of discomfort was shaping you for the command that has now been placed before you. What comes next in your journey depends on the alignment you choose today. You are standing on sacred ground, a place where destiny is not just revealed, but activated. God does not waste words, and He never calls a chosen soul without purpose. The pulling you feel, the stirring in your spirit, the inner knowing that refuses to quiet down, all of it is heaven confirming that you are meant to rise now. Not later, not eventually, now. Your obedience in this moment will reshape the spiritual atmosphere of your life. Chosen one. The divine command you received is not a burden. It is a blessing. It is an invitation into a higher dimension of purpose, strength, clarity, and spiritual identity. What God has prepared for you on the other side of obedience is greater than anything you have imagined. Step forward without fear, without hesitation, and without doubting your worthiness. This is your season of elevation. Your spirit is ready. Heaven is waiting. Move with boldness, and watch how God transforms everything that once felt impossible into proof of His presence in your life.